Hi guys, this is Alicia with Good Morning Sunshine. Today we're gonna go over just a lab I did this morning, which was just a PowerPoint, and then we did question and answers this morning over Zoom. I actually got today off because of a football game, because apparently football is more important, and them having access to our parking lot for tailgaters is more important than our actual academic education. So I was just going to go over that today. It should be short and sweet today. Want to learn about the overview of the external and mid-Sagittal anatomy of the brain. So it's actually very interesting. I've learned the brain, but the human brain before in anatomy years ago. Some of the stuff was familiar to me, others not so much, but here we go. So first, around the brain is the tough outermost layer of the brain. It's the physical protection for the nervous system. That is called the dura mater. So we have a sheep brain on the left, and then we have the horse's brain on the right here. So you can see how big the horse's brain is compared to the sheep brain. But that is the dura mater. There's like kind of a skin-like structure around the brain. And then once you get through the dura mater, we have the cerebrum. The cerebrum being the largest part of the brain. And you actually have two parts to the cerebrum, but you just have one that's circled here. So that being a cerebrum, but there's actually two sides to the cerebrum. And then next, we have the cerebellum, which is located caudal to the cerebrum, and it's right before the spinal cord. These are actually my notes, not the PowerPoint notes, but I thought I took decent notes. So on the bottom here, we have the cerebellum. And like I said, right before the brainstem. So then we have the spinal cord, which is again caudal to the cerebellum. So here's that, and it's this piece right here. And the telencephalon, the cerebrum, represents this. So then we get into sulci, which are the troughs on the brain. So you know those little indentations in your brain, those are the troughs of the brain right here, if you see in red. And then we have the gyri, which you have the sulci, and then the gyri are the ridges crests on the brain. So on the bottom right here, they're the big parts. And then we have the medial longitudinal fissure, the MLF. I don't know why this moved. Let me move it back so you can see. So that is the middle, separating the cerebral halves. So that's the big one, the big fissure down the midline of the brain. So then we have the frontal lobe, of course, which is directly behind the forehead. So this is kind of the region of it right here. And then at the back of the head, we have the occipital lobe. And that's before the cerebellum. So right here. And then we have the parietal lobes. It is between the frontal and occipital lobes. So right here. And then we have the temporal lobe, which is the second largest. It is in conjunction with the occipital lobe. Right here. And then we have the piriform lobe, which is ventral to the temporal lobe. So right under the temporal lobe, here's the temporal lobe, and then right here on the bottom, right here, that's the piriform lobe. So then we also got into the optic nerves. We have the optic nerve, which is easiest to see, and we use it for vision. So let me show you this. It's kind of hard to see, but there's like an X here, and it is the top left of that X. And then we have the oculomotor nerve, which is located in the midbrain of the brainstem. It is used for eye movement. Here's the picture. I know it's small, it's right there. It's very tiny. And then we have the trigeminal nerve, which is nerve number 5. It is from the midbrain to the medulla, and it has to do with the facial touch and for chewing. So here's that, and here's the arrow pointing to it right here, if you guys can see. And then we have the olfactory bulb, and it's on the bottom side of the cerebral hemispheres. They're actually pretty big and easy to see. So right here is the the olfactory bulb. And then we have the optic chiasm. So the X I was talking about with the optic nerve, the optic chiasm is the middle of that X, right there. And again, we have the telencephalon. It's the region rostral to the optic chiasm, and it's this huge part. It's all around here. Big old part. And then we have the diencephalon, which is caudal to the optic chiasm. So it's that part right there. The optic chiasm is right above it, in the middle X right there, but here's the diencephalon. And then we have the mammillary bodies, which are the small protuberance caudal to the optic chiasm, and it's part of the hypothalamus. So there's a protuberance right there. So you have the diencephalon being that thing, and then the protuberance on that. And then we have the mesencephalon, which is actually called the midbrain as well. It is caudal to the mammillary bodies. So it's this big part right here. And then we have the metencephalon, which is also called the pons, which is caudal to the mesencephalon, the midbrain. So it's right under where I just showed you. So it's right here. And then we have the cerebral peduncles. So as I showed you the mesencephalon, it is the 2 large stalks of white matter that are basically on top of the mesencephalon. So basically it's used as a marker so you know where the mesencephalon is. But here we go, and it's the white matter on top. There's kind of like the protuberance as well. And then we have the trapezoid body, which is the hontomedullary border as well. It's the caudal border of the pons and medulla. Let me show you here. It's in red right there. And then we have the medulla, which runs caudally from the trapezoid body to the rostral border of the spinal cord. So I have that right there. And then we have the pyramids, which is next to the midline of the medulla, or the medulla. Sorry. So we have those in red right there. Those are the pyramids. And then we have the corpus callosum. So basically we're cutting the brain now in half. So the corpus callosum is dorsal surface of the cerebrum. It is the white matter. So it's this right here that I outlined in red. And then we have the thalamus, which is the dorsal part of the diencephalon. So it's this right here. And then we have the hypothalamus just below that, which is right there. Which the hypothalamus means the ventral part of the diencephalon. So that's all we learned in lab today over Zoom. But yeah, short and sweet. Those are just some parts of the brain. I'm sure we'll be getting into a lot of stuff later. But I hope you guys had a good day today, good Friday. I think we're having dinner at Red Robin tonight, so that's exciting. Yeah. I actually got a little break today, but now it's all study because of the exam coming up. So I think I made all my flashcards for it, so now I just have to go through everything, which is a lot, as you guys know. But I love you guys, and I thank you guys for watching.